Hey, what's up, everybody? The VC here, coming at you with another video about anything and everything. Nothing's off the table. So, without further ado, we're gonna get to it. All right. Something I've been wanting to cover for some time now, and that's just this whole Rogan Kamala situation, and just basically how Kamala was just a big failure in everything. So, without further ado, we're gonna get to it. All right. But before we do, stupid ass protesting still continuing in LA, as you can see here, the footage. LAPD clears out ICE protest near Union Station. This is in kind of like downtown LA area. And again, to me, these guys are idiots because they don't know what they're doing. They're just, you know, they're organized because you have people that are organizing these protests and getting all these people involved, and they don't even know what they're doing. When it comes to protesting, they're just protesting supposedly for immigrants, right? But when you really think about it, ICE is only around to clear out illegal immigrants, not immigrants, while they wave around their flags and all that. If you're so proud of your country, you just go back to your country, right? And so here's something that's right on money right here. Woman arrested after taking down U.S. flag, raising Mexican flag at Hart Park in Kern County here. That's deservingly so. You should get arrested because
New York
you don't just
City's
go
children
around
count on us.
and act like you can do what you want. All right, just because you're in California. All right, so let's see what happens.
Crime Watch, a local woman under arrest this hour, accused of tearing down the American flag at Hart Park and raising the national flag of Mexico in its place. The arrest caught on camera.
You're not gonna tell me what to do. This is Mexican land.
Oh, okay.
Look at that flag, because that flag isn't on the floor, is it?
Hey.
Is it?
Hey.
You can't say I'm disrespecting. No, esta es mi tierra.
Get the fuck out of here,
Esta es mi
bitch.
tierra. Esta es mi tierra.
Come here.
Okay, my people kill you.
Look at that.
I'm
Making
going
all
to
these
kill you,
threats,
you're
man. Get the
hurting me.
fuck
You're
out
gonna
of here,
regret
bitch.
it when you
Settle
okay.
down. Hey.
Touch me, my when your kids die. When your kids die, you're squishing my hand, and they already know.
Get out of here, bitch.
You don't need to take me.
Stop her.
Take
You're gonna get thrown on the ground,
Take
bitch.
me. Take me.
Take her down.
Take me.
Yeah,
She's on the ground. She's all right.
throw her to the ground, bitch. Throw that bitch on the ground. Get the fuck out of here.
All this happening this morning around
Shut the fuck
9:30.
up.
The Kern County Sheriff's Office says 24-year-old Crystal Aguilar cut the chain securing the flagpole at the entrance to the park, removed the American flag, threw it into the mud, and replaced it with the flag of Mexico. When park rangers attempted to detain Aguilar, she responded with a slew of threats. She was taken into custody and booked into jail on several charges, including threatening a peace officer, vandalism, and resisting arrest.
Yeah, deservingly so. Yeah, get out of here, bitch. You're so proud of it, go back to your country. Alright, don't act like you could just go around and do whatever you want. Alright, so that's the case of these dumbass protesting and all that right now. If you guys don't like it, then get out. Alright? But you're in America for a reason. Alright? So, unless you're illegal, and that's the reason why you're raising a fuss. But, alright, so we all know that this whole Kamala campaigning was a failure. Alright, so let's go rewind back in time. Alright, so we're going back in time. Biden was running for re-election. They propped him up. The Democrat Party propped him up. They boosted his ego, saying that he's going to run for president again because he's the only one that's beaten Trump before. Alright, so everybody knew that cognitively he's not there. Alright, Biden. It's not there. And, the limitations of everything that he did really showed at the debate, when they had their first debate with Trump and Biden. When Trump and Biden had that debate, that was a turning point when it came to campaigning. This is when people stepped in and said, "Oh, you got to step aside, because obviously you don't got it, right now, you're looking bad." And national stage, at the debate. You're fumbling your words. It's looking bad, buddy. You got to step down. Celebrities were stepping in, like Clooney and all that, stepping in and say, oh, man, you got to step down. And all the other Democrats all of a sudden came out of the woodworks and said, hey, you got to step down. Pelosi, Obama, all them fools, right? Came in and said, you got to step down. You got to put someone in. And supposedly they had other people in mind, and Biden just said, all right, I'm going to install Kamala. As since she's already vice president, I'm going to put her in place, and she'll run for president. All right, since all the campaign donations and all that have already came in for the Democrat Party towards the Biden re-election. So the only way they could keep all that money that already came in the first place was to either have Kamala run, or you lose it all. All those donations just go away. It's done. It's gone. So it was like, well, damn if you do, damn if you don't, right? So basically they just said, all right, well, they were kind of stuck, in a hard place, but they had it run with Kamala, and Biden kind of just, gave that vote of confidence for Kamala anyways. And then she came into place and did all this campaigning and stuff. Really, really closed campaign, no interviews for the longest time. She'll do like rallies and things like that. And it really just exposed how limited she was, right? Because they knew what they had in her, and it was really nothing. She, wasn't very coherent. Really, really far left when it comes to policy because of her knowing of her past, and she's only flexing changes in the recent days of politics just because she's trying to go with what people think people like, even though she has far extreme progressive policy. And the biggest thing she's always said was she always believes in her beliefs, like her what was it that she said, that she doesn't stray from what she believes in. So even though she changed some of the things, like she'll say things like, oh, well, years past she didn't, she's not into fracking, but now she's open to fracking. Or when all these different things, right? Oh, you're against a border wall, but now you are, and things like that. It really showed, but then at the same time, she's all about her beliefs, right? Her core beliefs, and it really contradicts, because you keep flip-flopping on issues and all that. But if you really go down to your very, very core beliefs, then you got to go with what she originally said and not the flip-flopping that she was doing to try to win people over. So all that was kind of making her exposed as a liar, right? And then when you start to look at, she was a border czar, and the question was she really a border czar or not? Because we all know she was appointed border czar. And then it was said that she was supposed to explore the issues of what's happening at the border, and that's it. And it's like, no, it has to be more than that, So when you have that going on, it was just funny how funny is the thing is that we all know she's the border czar. She was supposed to go down to the border, and she only went to the border during the days of campaigning. I think she might have visited the border maybe one time throughout the presidency, the Biden administration. But outside of that, she really did not go to the border up until campaign season, which was last year, 2024. And she only went there as more of a publicity stop, and not really doing anything at the border. All right. So when you look at all that, it's like, man, like, what has she really done? You know what I mean? And if you ask anybody that tries to vote for Kamala, and you can ask them, what has she done to make changes, right? Or to kind of just give you a reason why you vote for her? Nobody can answer the very question. So as time went on, she was being pressured to do a debate, right? And Trump said, "All right, I want to do a debate, because the more you're holding off, the more that you're trying to weasel out of it." So they finally came to a debate, all right, and the debate came and went. It was all right, it wasn't too bad. Kamala, to me, came off as kind of arrogant in a sense, like kind of cocky, kind of arrogant, trying to act like she's, far superior than Trump, even though she's pretty stupid, right? When you look at everything that she's done versus what Trump has accomplished. And you could tell at the debate, too, it was stacked against Trump because the panel was second guessing and, they were really going after Trump on his responses and doing fact checking and all that stuff. Whereas when Kamala would say something, they didn't really do any fact checking towards her. So you could tell that in itself, the fact checking part was what just, it gave everybody the wrong taste, and you could tell it was really stacked against Trump during that debate, right? So when the debate was over, it was like, well, what's next, Obviously, Kamala at that point still hasn't done any interviews, and now she's trying to press for more debates, and it's like Trump's like, bitch, I already have done 2 now. All right, I done one with Biden, I done one with you. Now you're trying to press for more debates as it's getting close to now voting, like absentee voting, and you're trying to push for another debate when it's not going to matter, right? And then, the interviews is the big thing that she was missing, right? And so she started to hit up, these sort of controlled interviews, the 60 Minutes, all these different things that try to reach out, right? She went to the Shannon Sharp podcast. She went to that female podcaster, I forgot her name, because she's insignificant to me. All that stuff, right? And the biggest opportunity was Joe Rogan, right? So I wanted to cover this whole 60 Minutes interview and this Joe Rogan interview. Well, this Joe Rogan interview that never happened, but the 60-minute interview is the one I wanted to cover because what happened was there was a whistleblower, in a sense, that leaked information that the interview was edited, that what you saw on TV is not what you really got. And so that kind of opened up, in a sense, a Pandora's box of, uh-oh, something's up here. And so when the Trump team started to look into it, come to find out, the interview was completely edited. All right, so that's what happened there. And then, let's take a look at that, all right? Because now Trump tried to sue CBS. He tried to go after FCC to try to release the unedited 60 Minutes transcript. And there are things that you can do when it comes to editing, when it comes to like time constraints on interviews, but you cannot change the responses of what was said. So, for example, if you were asked a question and gave a completely different answer that was said later on, like in the interview, and you pasted that in, that's the problem that they have when it comes to editing. That you're not supposed to do that. If you're trying to edit out, to shorten up the clips and all that, that's fine. But to completely make it look like you change the answer or a completely different response to the question, that's where the problem can lie, and that's what happened here. So let's take a look at this here, because FCC releases unedited Kamala Harris 60 Minutes transcript, all right? And because that was the biggest thing that came out the other day, and that was one of the biggest talks here. So I like the witty Jesse Waters here. So let's take a look at what happened here.
We got our hands on the raw footage of Kamala Harris's 60 Minutes interview. Last October, in the heat of the election, Harris, Hail Mary with CBS. But the network was caught deceptively editing this answer. Watch.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening. The Wall Street Journal said that that your administration has repeatedly been blindsided by Netanyahu. And in fact, he has rebuffed just about all of your administration's entreaties.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region. And we're not going to stop doing that. We are not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Trump sued CBS for $10 billion, and it looks like they might settle. But before that happens, the FCC released the full interview, unedited, and we have the tape. They talked for an hour and left a lot out. Here's an answer that never made air. Watch.
I'm trying to understand how it is that with this emphasis on the border, the numbers of crossings quadrupled under the first 3 years of the Biden-Harris administration. How did that happen?
There are a variety of factors that relate to what we have seen globally and what we are not immune from at our own border in terms of what we have seen in terms of surge of immigration and irregular migration. And there are solutions at hand, but we've got to have leaders who are solution-oriented, which we've been and are.
CBS also cut out their host pressing Kamala on how she's going to pay for all of her giveaways.
If all of this makes so much sense, why has this not been done? You're dealing with a Congress that is divided, that many are in opposition to not only you but your policies. So how are you going to make this come true?
Bill, if I approached my life as though, well, it's never been done before, therefore it cannot be done, I wouldn't be sitting here in this interview with you. That's the truth.
Then 60 Minutes tossed Kamala a big fat softball, and she swung and missed.
The most basic of questions. Why do you want to be President of the United States?
There are many reasons, but probably first and foremost, I truly believe in the promise of America. I do. And I love the American people. You know, we are a people who have ambition and aspirations and dreams.
Hopes and dreams.
And optimism and hope.
That's why you want to run. That's why you want to be president.
That's why I'm running. That and some other reasons.
But you're asking the American people to make you the most powerful person on the planet.
Aspirations and dreams.
Why do you deserve the American people's votes?
Well, first of all, I have a career and a history of being very clear that I think of my role of leadership, and in particular now for the last 4 years as vice president and moving forward as president, if the voters will have me, as being a leader on behalf of all Americans.
Kamala wasn't the only one having a rough night. One of the crew guys misgendered Madam Vice President.
Is that what you needed?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. 30 seconds of silence, please, for John.
Wow. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. So there was stuff that wasn't included in the original interview that was cut out.
From hard hats to steel-toed boots.
Let's see here. So Trump demands 60 Minutes be taken off air after Kamala. Yeah, there's some crazy stuff here. Let me see what this one says here.
Has finally been exposed, and the US is breathing a collective sigh of relief knowing they chose the right candidate in Donald Trump. CBS was forced to hand over the raw and unedited footage from the Kamala Harris interview they aired during the election campaign as part of the FCC.
Well, thank goodness for those whistleblowers that leaked the information, because we wouldn't have got to see this BS here, this crap called Kamala, if it wasn't for those people that leaked that, hey, you know what, there was more to it than what you really saw, and you should really see what was edited out. And if it wasn't for that, man, who knows what would happen, you know? It's crazy.
Probe into whether the network violated the FCC's news distortion policy.
Yep,
Complaints
they
were
did.
filed after it was revealed that 60 Minutes heavily edited the raw footage for their on-air program, which was different to the footage aired on their YouTube.
And this goes along the course of how, CBS, ABC, NBC, all these, CNN, MSNBC, all these news organizations, news channels, were all left progressive supporting channels, news organizations. So, of course, they're going to protect and do what they can to make Kamala look good, but it bit them in the ass.
And digital channels.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Donald Trump blasted Kamala Harris and CBS at the time, saying, "A giant fake news scam by CBS and 60 Minutes. Her real answer was crazy or dumb, so they actually replaced it with another answer in order to save her, or at least make her look better.
Exactly.
A fake news scam which is totally illegal. Take away the CBS license." He then sued CBS, demanding $10 billion in damages, alleging deceptive doctoring of the interview. The full interview revealed today has shed more light on the bizarre story, highlighting Kamala Harris's famous words, salads.
Of the future, what we can do to maintain America's strength in the global context.
But that's why you want to run. That's why you want to be
That's why I'm
president.
running. That and some other reason.
Harris also scolded a staffer mid-interview.
Anniversary of the Hamas attack on Israel.
October 7th.
So let's just start with
Hang on
Israel.
1 second, Bill.
Yeah.
Sorry, we had someone in the background. I'm afraid you're going to have to re-ask that.
Okay, whoever's in the dining room. Okay.
There was also a bizarre part at the end of the interview where Kamala Harris was asked to repeat a question, but instead she sat there nodding uncomfortably.
Madam Vice President, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Good to be with you.
Well, can we just get just a little bit of a question, please, so I can get it over the shoulder shot?
Yeah. You need me talking?
Yes, sir.
Well, we were talking about how you're going to pay for it, and I mean, I truly do mean it. Your plans are logical, make logical sense. The way Washington works is not logical. So how are you going to convince a divided Congress that what you say, your plans, are something that they should all agree to and provide to the American people when they've shown no inclination to do that up to this point?
Is that what you needed?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. 30 seconds of silence, please, for John.
And this commentator made a side-by-side comparison of an edited and unedited answer, which shows the true extent of the distortion.
Would you meet with President Vladimir Putin to negotiate a solution to the war in Ukraine?
Not bilaterally without Ukraine, no. Ukraine must have a say in the future of Ukraine.
As president, would you support the effort to expand NATO to include Ukraine?
Those are all issues that we will deal with if and when it arrives at that point. Right now, we are supporting Ukraine's ability to defend itself against Russia's unprovoked aggression. Donald Trump.
To be honest, you know what I think about Ukraine? I think if we cut off our funding and just let Russia steamroll through Ukraine, and it'll just be a done with situation. We wipe our hands clean. You know what I'm saying? That's just me, though.
Trump, if he were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. He talks about, he can end it on day one. You know what that is? It's about surrender.
Would you meet with President Vladimir Putin to negotiate a solution to the war in Ukraine?
Not bilaterally without Ukraine, no. Ukraine must have a say in the future of Ukraine.
How about, as president, would you support the effort to expand NATO to include Ukraine?
Those are all issues that we will deal with if and when it arrives at that point. Right now, we are supporting Ukraine's ability to defend itself against Russia's unprovoked aggression and doing what we can to continue to build and strengthen the alliance around the support for Ukraine's right to be an independent nation, free from having its borders forcefully taken by Russia. And we are going to continue to work closely with our NATO allies to continue to reinforce America's alliance in the context of NATO.
The FCC chairman discussed possible ramifications for CBS after a decision is made on the intention of the editing.
Consequence from that.
Well, look, there'll be the full suite of FCC options that are on the table that apply to any broadcast licensee. We obviously haven't made any decisions, but there's no way that the FCC can adjudicate this claim without getting a copy of the transcript. You know, at the end of the Biden administration, my predecessor summarily dismissed this complaint, but I'm not sure how you can possibly do that without seeing the actual video to see what was the real answer. Was it edited? Was it, edited for clarity and length, which would be fine? Or are there other reasons why the editing took place? So we're going to take a look at that.
Definitely not edited for clarity and length. It was definitely edited to make her look better than what she really was.
And we're open-minded as to potential consequences.
Will you...
That's crazy
Build
different.
custom industrial machines.
Online commentators reacted to the unedited footage, with this person saying, "The entire 60 Minutes interview has dropped. This will remind you how lucky America is that this lady did not win."
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. This person agreed, saying, "I just read and listened to the full unedited Kamala Harris 60 Minutes interview, and I know why they needed to edit it down. It was simply horrible. Total pablum answers, meandering and boring." The footage comes after top podcaster Joe Rogan unleashed on Kamala Harris and her team for peddling lies about her near appearance on his podcast.
Today.
Which I'm going to lead to here. I want to talk about this because that's something I wanted to talk about as well. Is that you know, Joe Rogan contacted and made overtures into, interviewing Kamala Harris. And at first, she was trying to, like, not do it at first because she went to all these different podcasts. For some reason, she just didn't think Joe Rogan was good enough, that she wanted to reach to different people, even though Joe Rogan's the largest. I think he has like the biggest audience when it comes to podcasting across the world or something like that. And it's just interesting that when Trump was contacted, Trump agreed, and he agreed to it with no sort of stipulations or anything. Whereas this whole thing with Kamala, it was just a lot of back and forth. She wanted to shorten it to like 45 minutes. She wanted him to meet with her at some place. There was a lot of bullshit, stuff that she tried to get Joe Rogan to do to meet her demands, and Joe Rogan's like, well, no, I mean, just come see me. We could have a sit down chat conversation, shoot the shit, and he really wanted to see what she really was about, just get to know Kamala, and not just this word salad Kamala that we've been seeing in the media and all that. He really wanted to see her for who she really is. So after he did this thing with, and what he really wanted to do was really interesting, was he really wanted to set it up the same day for Trump and Kamala, not necessarily at the same time, maybe back to back, do it on the same day, but it just didn't happen. And so, and then she tried to lie about how, that he wasn't willing to meet with her, which he did. And so it was just interesting to see. Let me see if I can find that information about the book and the book stuff here, because it was really about the book. All right, that showed. See, I don't know what happened to the book. This is funny right here. Out of work, Kamala Harris showed up to the Lakers game and nobody even cared as she sat in the cheap seats. Look at this. It's pretty funny. Shows her how irrelevant she is now. No one cares.
Try Zero free for 30 days.
All right.
Dug him off.
All right.
Just like everyone else. Pretty funny stuff. Yeah, it's just like everyone else. Alright, so let's take a look at this here. So, they came out, Kamala Harris came out with this book. And,
Joe Rogan was heavily mentioned all throughout a new book detailing the failed Kamala Harris presidential campaign, with authors claiming that the podcast host purposely denied the vice president from coming on his show, and even called Donald Trump's appearance on the podcast a traumatic event they will never forget. The book, titled Fight: Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House, was written by over 140 different authors, including campaign staff and insiders, and claims to provide a play-by-play of negotiations between the Rogan and Harris camps attempting to secure Kamala's appearance on the podcast. According to the book, on October 11th, 2024, Rogan sent a list of interview conditions which included no staff in the studio, no topic restrictions, and Harris would have to sign a waiver, to which the Harris campaign responded saying she would be be happy to talk about social media censorship, weed, and other issues they thought would be of most interest to his listeners. However, the book went on to say that Rogan disagreed, and instead said he just wants to talk about the economy, the border, and abortion. Another part claimed that the Harris team was worried that a detour to Texas might smell like desperation to the press and a waste of money to our donors, but found a solution by having Harris travel to Houston for a rally under the cover of visiting a state with one of the nation's most restrictive abortion laws to put her in proximity to Austin. But allegedly, the Rogan camp responded by saying they wish they knew about the Houston plan earlier because October 25th is blocked off as a personal day. The novel ends with Harris aides claiming they made one final stab by offering to let Rogan talk to the vice president in Washington, D.C. However, Rogan's team balked, citing the Austin-only condition, to which the Harris camp replied, "You get one trip to Texas within 3 weeks of the election, you don't get two." The only problem with this entire story, however, is any one of the millions of regular JRE listeners can tell you that none of that is true, as not only was Joe Rogan consistently saying the exact opposite of all these claims on his podcast throughout the campaign season in real time, but recently he debunked the book directly on episode 2267 with Dan Richards.
They said a bunch of things that weren't true. Supposedly he talked to
Yeah, so all these people that said things in the book, I think they all said it to kind of make themselves look like they made the effort and they did all these things, but Joe Rogan is the one that was the problem and not them or her. And Joe Rogan spoke about it in his response to the book that came out, and so that's what I wanted to get to on that. Let me see if I can get that. I'm going to pull it up, JRE. Yeah, because I thought that was fascinating. Let's see here. I think this is it right here, this very clip.
The Joe Rogan experience.
Rogan too is that he was more towards, in a sense, towards Democrats, but yet at the same time he was being impartial. He never favored Trump, right? He was kind of skeptical of Trump, to be honest, and I mean from based on what I've seen of Joe Rogan before. But at the same time, he's always been more impartial and just likes to try to find the person within, you know, instead of this exterior that you see of the person, he likes to find deep inside the personality of a person when he does his interviews. So that's the person that Joe Rogan is when he interviews people. See, so he was being flexible with her, but I think she thought she was better than all this, and that her handlers probably felt that way too. Her handlers were a big issue too. I wanted to show you guys how Kamala was just pure idiocracy is what it was with her, and you know, it exposed further with the CBS and the 60-minute interview how much she was just always full of word salad. Everything that she said, that she does, you know, I mean, when you look at everything about her, she really was really, I mean, like what Holman would say, dumber than a box of rocks, you know, and just speak a lot of nonsense, you know. So, you know, I mean, that's all she does is just word salad, you know, and so everything about her was just word salad. And, you know, it's crazy. Right? She offers word salad in a 2-minute non-answer. Like, everything about her, this is 2 years ago, months ago, right? Year ago. Everything that she spoke has always been word salad. Right? Look at that. A year ago, everything was word salad. So when you look at everything about her, and no action at the border, even though she was a border czar, and all these different policies that she stood by when it came to transgender rights, no fracking or drilling offshore, the Green New Deal, all this stuff man, imagine if she was in office right now, how bad things would be. It would be really bad. It would be so bad. All right. So I'm going to leave it at this right
I can
here.
imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know? What can be unburdened by what has been.
I mean, having
There are
her
those
as president.
who are unable to see what can be, but there are many more who are able to see what can be unburdened by what has been.
Remember Venn diagrams, those 3 circles? Right. And then let's just see where they overlap.
You will not be surprised because I have constructed a Venn diagram on this. Remember those 3 circles, how they overlap?
I love Venn diagrams, so I just do. Whenever you're dealing with conflict, pull out a Venn diagram, right? And so, you know, the 3 circles.
Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her. I am a woman sitting at the table wearing a blue suit.
Man, having her as president, man, it would have been a disaster. So we should be counting our blessings that she's not the president right now and that she's just an irrelevant figure of the past. Hopefully she doesn't become governor of California, because that's supposedly her next step after Gavin Newsom. That's 2 disasters right there, back to back. If we have her backing up Gavin Newsom here, because we've already worked with this disaster. So we'll see what happens there. But anyhow, I just wanted to share that with you guys about the unedited, how they try to make her look good, but they got caught with their pants down, and then they lied about this whole Joe Rogan situation when Joe Rogan was just trying to just set things up. And they just never came to an agreement. But they lied about it, trying to make it look like Joe Rogan didn't want to do it. Anyhow, that's everything I wanted to talk about here. Like I said, we're just lucky we dodged a bullet on this one. Just like Trump dodged a couple bullets there. Anyhow, comment down below, subscribe. I'm on Rumble, I'm on YouTube. Thank you. I'll see you next one.